Hello everyone. Today I'll be making a video about how I've been able to make these incredibly cute, very custom mixtapes. Not on your standard audio cassette, which is this size right here, but I actually decided to make these mixtapes on microcassettes, which is a little bit more. It's weird. I'll admit it's a weird idea. I like weird things, weird ideas, vintage technology, if you will. So I was able to make these custom mixtapes. Now these mixtapes I'll be making for my nephew. I have a nephew, he's 17. Believe it or not, he's interested in these kind of 80s, early 80s technology. Well, actually, I believe the microcassette goes further back than the 80s. It goes back to the 70s, I believe. But the neat thing about the 80s is that there were these stereo compatible microcassette players, recorders during the 80s. What I have here, I actually bought this on eBay. It actually came complete with its box, manuals, all that neat stuff. I bought this for $110. Now, it wasn't working properly when I bought this. I had to do a few repairs on it. For example, it needed new belts. It was very hard to find. I actually tried to buy the like a high quality OEM replacement belt for it. I wasn't able to do it. It's so hard to find parts nowadays. I know back in the 90s you would still have so many electronics parts stores. That's slowly disappearing. Every day that passes, you'll see less and less of that. So what I actually did to be able to repair this player, and I know I'll get a lot of bad rap about it, I bought the so-called bag-o, they call it bag-o belts. It's like these packs of multiple size belts, and then they're not the best quality, I know, but for my purposes of making this neat little guy work again, I bought the 100 pack, the Severity pack. And yeah, out of those 100 different sizes, it cost me about $9, not too expensive. So I actually put a good review on it on Amazon. I show my player here both opened and closed, showing all its guts inside of how I was able to change the belt on it. So now it works correctly. I actually had to demagnetize the heads. I have a demagnetizer here. I still love doing this kind of maintenance things on these old vintage technology. I know that technology nowadays, they don't really need this much maintenance. I just like doing it. It's mostly because my father used to do this back in the 80s and 90s. He taught me so much about how to do this. He passed away when I was 15. But you know, in this 15 years that I knew him, he taught me so much about how to repair not only audio devices like this, but also video, VCRs, televisions, microwaves, all that neat stuff. So I got this guy up and running. I actually use this. I love walking. Walking is my favorite thing ever. But what's really better than just walking is listening to the old classics. I like the old classic rock of the 80s, the 70s, even the 60s if you go further back. I enjoy that as well. I mostly like the 80s stuff. Your AC/DC, your Led Zeppelin, later Led Zeppelin, that is. They were mostly a 70s band. So yeah, I got this working. And I'm going to keep this guy. I like this guy. This is a 1981 machine, which is actually a year before I was born. I was born in 1982. But it's so neat to know that a machine that was made before I was born, it still works. It works great. It's a wonderful, wonderful machine. A beautiful machine, actually. Right here you have the brushed aluminum front. On the side is the same material. Actually, it's one piece. All this metallic piece right here, it's all one piece all the way around, all the way on top and the bottom. But it changes. You have the metallic brushed on the front. On the side you have the very fine texture on it, which is pretty neat. It feels like a solid premium machine. I love it. So I'll be keeping this one. The reason I'm saying I'm keeping this one because I have a few. Actually have this other one that I also bought it from eBay. This is the, well, by the way, the model of this one is the Sony M-1000. This is a stereo compatible microcassette player and recorder. See on top, it has both a headphone jack as well as a mic input. I actually use this to record. I actually use this one to record my mixtapes right here. And I'll show you exactly how I made these. Very cute. Very custom. You know, when you dedicate your time to make something like this, you really appreciate the value of it. Especially in a day and age. It's going to be 2020 in a couple hours. The physical format, the physical, to be able to grab something and know that you have a physical format, either audio or video, is slowly dying. I've noticed that the physical format is dying. Everything's pretty much streamed from a cloud somewhere to your devices, solid state devices. No more moving parts anymore. Like these things, these have motors, belts, switches, all that stuff. This is pretty much touchscreen. And so yeah, I bought this one, $110. I'll show you the box later on. It's wonderful. But what I also bought is this right here. This I had been looking for this guy. I know there was a black version. This is the dark blue one, the dark blue version. You can see that. I know there was a red one, which is also rare, but the incredibly rare one is the black colored one. There weren't many of those made. I bought this off of eBay for $150. It wasn't working. It is now. I had to fix it as well. But you know what I really love about eBay? If you search for something that you really like collecting and using, and for any reason they don't have any in stock, you can actually save your search. There's a little button at the very bottom of the eBay search page. Has a little heart on it, and you click on that. And if for any reason they get a new posting with your whatever it is you're looking for, you get an email right away. I got an email at 2:30 in the morning regarding this player here. It's the 1982, which is the year I was born. That's why it's so kind of neat for me specifically, since it was the year I was born, 1982. It's the Sony Soundabout M80. Now this is a stereo compatible microcassette player, portable, but it also has the FM AM radio, which is interesting that they call it the FM AM. Usually they used to call these things AM FM, but for some reason they call it FM AM. But it's a radio, it's built in. It's on this one device, microcassette, stereo, audio. And it's also metal compatible. You can use metal type tapes, which were rare to this day. You can still find them. I believe they're the MC45s on eBay. They're incredibly expensive. I know that there are ways to re-spool, custom spool these microcassettes. Believe it or not, these have screws on them. You take off the label, and you can get into them, and you can always re-spool them. For example, this is the TDK. I'm a fan of the brand, the TDK. For anything magnetic media, I'm talking about floppy disks. I'm talking about VHS, all that good magnetic storage. I just happen to be a fan of it, mostly because it's the brand that I used when I was a teenager. When you use a certain brand, you kind of stick to it, right? I know a lot of people are the Maxell fans. I happen to be a TDK fan. So I actually found these on Amazon. They're these wonderful 9-piece packs. TDK, these are the 90-minute. That means 45 minutes each side. It's a long time, a lot of music to be able to store on these. And they work great. But like I said, they can be re-spooled if you have the time, patience. I know it's a tedious task. but you can actually respool these things. If you can tell right there, you have that brown color tape, which is the normal bias, the ferrous, I believe, metallic type, which is your normal bias tape. I actually have a metal tape here. This actually came with my M-1000. It's a demo cassette that has instrumental music on it. It's a 15-minute, it's incredibly short, but it was like a demo they gave you with this device here back in 1981. So you can try their new and improved metal cassette tapes. Pretty neat. What I think is interesting about this tape here, let me try to show you. I don't know if you can see this too well. It says demonstration on it, right? For some reason, they left the space between they put a space in the word demonstration. So it actually says demonstration tape, which sounds ominous. It's interesting. It's like a little error they made in the factory or something. So that's pretty neat to have. This actually doesn't have tape anymore. In my process of fixing these two guys, it actually ate this tape up. It was like, I guess it was a sacrifice to make. I wasn't really interested in the music that was on here anyways. I'll keep the covering on it. It's pretty neat. Especially because it's like something that came with this guy. So I'll keep it, even though it doesn't have any tape anymore. Alright, so let me show you my custom mixtapes here. I've made quite a few. I just want to focus on this one right now. This is for my nephew. His name is Angel. They called it Angel's Old Jams. That's what I called it. I know he's gonna love it. I actually told him one morning about this player here. I told him that I had been searching for it for so long, and I finally found it. When I told him about it, I showed him pictures. Whenever you buy something on eBay, you can still see pictures of your purchased product. And I saw it in his eyes. He loved it. And you know, to tell you the truth, I want to keep this device. But you know what? I know that he'll enjoy it even more. Mostly because he enjoys this kind of old stuff. To tell you the truth, he kind of inspired me to start collecting this kind of stuff. I've only started collecting maybe like 3 years ago. I mean, I have the background knowledge about these devices, but I was into like the modern things from nowadays. But like I told you, I've noticed that this kind of stuff is disappearing so fast. Like it's accelerating. So I kind of want to preserve it, use it, kind of bump it up. I'm making this video to kind of bump up this kind of stuff. Maybe, hopefully, inspire you to do the same. Or maybe you already do this kind of stuff. Maybe you can help me, or maybe I can help you make this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's 90 minutes of music on this guy right here, since I did use the MC90 cassette TDK. But I'm just gonna record it and that's it. I'm gonna make these custom both labels. These are labeled, believe it or not. What I really liked about these guys right here, it's very easy to remove the label. And the type of glue they used on this particular tapes, it doesn't leave behind any residue at all. So, you know what, let me just go ahead and remove this. I mean, I'm going to remove it anyways. I'm going to be making quite a few mixtapes for my nephew. He's going to get a big kick out of that. So yeah, let me go ahead and remove this label here. It's incredibly easy. Just kind of peel that back up and it comes right off. And there is no residue left behind at all. That's one clean, clear microcassette right there with no label. So you can apply your custom made labels, which I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Very neat. So believe it or not, this original label here is going to be your template for your new label. Let me show you how that works. What I have here is a bunch of labels that I removed. from these two mixtapes that I made. I kind of put them on a plastic bag here as a way to keep them from sticking onto anything else or getting dusty, stuff like that. So these are my templates that I'll be using for my custom. You know what, the reason I started doing this, I was kind of inspired by an eBay seller that he sells these custom-made microcassettes on eBay. You can find these. He sells them for about, well, they range in price. It depends. Simply because some of them are double albums. This is a single album, for example. This is the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. Wonderful album. Wonderful band. And I mean, in my opinion, it's really a band that kind of reinvented themselves as they went along, as well as the decades passed by. They were a band that, well, to this day they still make concerts, which is pretty neat. I know that they don't make albums anymore, but during the time they did make albums, they really reinvented themselves, and they did change a lot as the years passed. But in my opinion, they were wonderful changes. And it's pretty rare to find a band that can kind of continue to exist even though the times pass by, the decades pass by. And I love them. I love Pink Floyd. To me, Pink Floyd is like my Beatles. Or, for example, yeah. So this seller inspired me. He custom made these tapes, and he did a wonderful job. I'll admit that he did a way better job than I did, but I'm still impressed with what I was able to make. So let me just kind of show you what this seller made. Yeah, look at that. It's a custom label complete with the band and the album name, and then the stereo label right here, let you know that it's stereo. You know what? He actually custom spooled these tapes. Like I said, it is possible. Let me show you the difference here between a metal type tape, which is that darker color tape, because it is a metal tape. And right next to my Amazon purchased microcassette here, if you can tell, that is a brown color, which is the normal bias tape right there. So that's metal, black, synonymous by the black color. And over here is your normal bias tape, which is the brown colored microcassette right there. And this seller, he also dedicated his time. He did a wonderful job. I believe I bought this for about $18 from Russia. He's a Russian seller. Look at this. He printed out the songs from this album. He did a wonderful job. And let me show you, well, speaking about let me start with the insert that I made. Let me show you the front cover. So there you go, my nephew, his name is Angel, so it says right there, Angels. I was actually able to find the microcassette logo on the internet. You'll find it. It's not black. It's sort of like a gold colored label. But you know what? What's neat about Photoshop, you can change colors. I actually use Photoshop to make this custom label right here. It's so wonderful to be able to work with layers. Layers are your friend when you're working on Photoshop. This particular cover here had about, I don't know, about 8 layers, which is not much. So yeah, I made this. Not only did I make the cover, I also put the songs. I asked my little nephew, what kind of music do you like from the 80s? I mean, considering that you weren't even born in the 80s, which is pretty interesting. I know he was born in the 90s, so yeah, late 90s actually. So yeah, he told me, oh, you know, I like the breakdance and the old school hip hop from the 80s. So I dedicated my time. I went on Spotify. I found all these wonderful songs. And it would be neat to kind of play them to you, but I know about that whole copyright thing. I'll kind of tell you what's on here. Nucleus, of course, Jam on It. That's a 1984 track. I put the dates. I'm not 100% sure about these dates. It might be a little bit off, but you get the idea. The JJ Fad, that wonderful woman group, Supersonic. Pretty neat song. Got the Run DMC. You got your Planet Patrol. Play at Your Own Risk. The Egyptian Lover, of course. How can you not have the Egyptian Lover when talking about breakdancing music? I got the Planet Rock from the Africa Bambaataa group, 1992, year I was born. Yeah, pretty neat. Custom mixtape like this. He's gonna love it. I actually told him about my idea. I haven't given this to him yet. I'm actually making these on my winter break. It takes a lot of time to make something like this, mostly because you'll be able to find custom cassette templates for both covers and inserts. But you won't find any for microcassettes. I'll tell you the truth, most of the time that it took me to make these mixtapes was trying to get the correct dimensions to fit. Now, if you really need help to make something like this, please do feel free to bother me. I have a lot of free time. I'll help you. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful idea. Like I said, especially in a day and age when the physical format it's disappearing. So that's it for my little insert. Let me show you what paper I use. This is the glossy type. It's made for photographs, but it worked great for this label, mostly because the when you use photographic paper, you don't get that bleeding of the paper, and you get to keep that like nice shiny look to it, which it looks almost factory made. I love to go to your Goodwills, if you will, mostly to find these vintage kind of devices from the past. But I came along this pack right here for $3.15. It's a wonderful deal, great deal. It's Staples color laser. You know what? It says laser on it, but believe it or not, it works great on my inkjet printer right there. That's the Epson. I love that printer. I've had that guy for maybe 4 years, and it works just like when I bought it. I made thousands of printouts with that thing. It's a very interesting machine because I know that Epson is really known for being one of the most expensive inks and the smallest amount of inks that they give you when you buy them. When they came out with this is the EcoJet, they call it. You can refill that very easily by just opening the side cover right there, and it comes with these tanks. They're very easy to open. It's like a rubber cover right there. And you can fill them up right away. They sell you these bottles. They're pretty much this size right here. This is head cleaning alcohol. MG Chemicals is the best. My father used it all the time back in the early 90s. Actually, he used it to clean these guys right here. Not only these guys, but all my audio video equipment. I have a few videos already about them. They give you this much ink, which is a lot. I mean, think about it. In this container here, you have enough ink for at least 4 or 5 cartridges, and it doesn't cost a lot. It ranges in price depending where you buy it. You find them between $19 and $23 a bottle, but if you think about it, it's a great deal for that price. You get a lot of ink, and it's neat, the convenience. You don't have to go out and buy ink cartridges. And there's nothing to dispose of. You know, when you buy a cartridge, it comes with a whole bunch of plastic, and some of them even have these chips inside that this is just a plastic container. And then I don't have the ink in front of me. I would have to dig through my closet and storage for it. I'm just kind of letting you know. I use that printer. Now, it's not the best quality, but it's good. It's great. So yeah, that's what I use for the label. Now for the sticker, inside label. See right there, that says Angels Old Jams. You know what? I was able to use Photoshop. You know, Photoshop actually has a button. I believe it's on the left-hand side. It's shapes. Believe it or not, they have, you know, hearts, stars, stuff like that. They have an arrow, so I use that. Because if you're not familiar with the microcassettes, they always have an arrow that lets you know which way the tape gets spooled. Actually, compared to your standard cassettes, they work a little bit different, because on standard cassettes, the tape gets spooled from the left to the right. But on your microcassettes, it gets spooled from the right to the left, which is actually opposite. It's different. So yeah, on my custom label, I put an arrow that I was able to get from Photoshop. They have that shape. Actually, when you select it, it'll be backwards. It'll be pointing on to the right side. But you can always spin it around. You know, when you have something you paste onto your project, you can always spin it. You can crop it, make it larger. You can change the dimensions. What I simply did was I spin it around, make it correct, pointing to the left. So yeah, I put that arrow there. I also put the side right here. I put a letter A, capital A. I put the bold. I like the bold stuff. Easier to see, especially something so small like this. So this is the side A. It has an A right there. And this is the side B. I simply put a B right there. Side B. I called it Old Jams because they're mostly 80s songs. They were jams, to tell you the truth. They made you move, dance, to this date. So yeah, let me show you what labels I use for it. Obviously, you won't find custom-made labels that you can just kind of print and pull them out, and that's it. I had to buy. I bought these from Amazon. And like I told you, most of the material to make this kind of custom stuff, it doesn't cost a lot, especially nowadays. This is the Milcoast brand. They're glossy full sheet. The reason about full sheet is because, like I said, there are no custom microcassette labels. You will find standard cassettes. There's quite a few brands that makes them, but not micro. Micro's a little bit rarer format. So this is a full size, 8.5 inch by 11. They're both laser and inkjet compatible. In my case, I have a inkjet right there. So yeah, these were great. After you print them out, you remove the backing on them and you stick them on your microcassette. Now I actually have right here an extra label that I made. Right there. That's my little label. As you see on the bottom, here's the one that I actually used. It's gone. The way I didn't use scissors to cut them out. I used something a little bit more exact, if you will. I went ahead and used the very famous, wonderful, the X-Acto knife. Right there. Bought this out from Amazon. I believe it was $8.99 or so. Amazon Prime compatible. Wonderful. I use these to cut out my labels. So what I did, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did right here. So I have my original labels from my microcassettes, right? So when I got a label. It's a wonderful idea to use a plastic bag. Keeps the dust from sticking on there, getting stuck on your floors or your table or whatever. So what I have here is my label. So what I did, I stuck this original label on top of my custom made label, custom printed label right there. So after I kind of placed it on top, I went ahead and I cut it. See? Obviously I'm not going to use the extra pieces here. No big deal. And obviously not the center, because I wanted to be able to show the actual ribbon tape that's in there. So there's my original label over my custom printed label. So I probably won't do it right now because I need a lot of patience, stuff like that. I just kind of want to let you know how to do this. Especially, believe it or not, I actually went on YouTube myself. I was hoping to find like maybe like a tutorial how to do this. Because you know, whenever you get an idea to do something, I'll tell you the truth, the world is so big, there's so many of us, there's billions and billions of people in the world. Whenever you get a crazy idea, I'll call it crazy because it really is crazy. Whenever you get a crazy idea like this, believe it or not, somebody else probably already has done it. So yeah, well, what I'm trying to do is kind of, I'm making a YouTube video and it's not very complete tutorial, but it's giving you a basic idea. It is possible to make if you have the time. Like I said, this is a very time-consuming, neat little project here. I went ahead and cut it. What I like to do is I like to place it on top of a cardboard box because obviously you don't want to cut through your table or whatever surface it is you're working on. And please do always be careful with these things. They're super sharp, especially if you're under 18. Adult supervision is required, please. Yeah, so I just cut around my TDK original label. What I like to do is I like to cut the inside first. For the reason that actually the first one I did, I went ahead and cut all the way around. And then it became so hard to cut the center part because you kind of want to take advantage of all this extra white space so you can actually spin this around. For example, I place it right on the edge of this round area and I leave the knife there, but I actually spin the entire paper around. That helps a lot. Instead of me trying to make a perfect circle with my knife, which is pretty much impossible, I spin the, I have a little bit of experience on woodworking. It's sort of like when you're working on the jigsaw machine, where you have your big chunk of wood and you put it on where your blade is at. You don't actually move the machine. It's a huge machine. It's a floor standing machine. You actually move your material, in this case, the paper. You kind of leave the knife in place and you spin your paper around. So yeah, that's how I was able to cut my custom labels for these microcassettes. Actually, I'm making quite a few. I'm not just gonna give my nephew just one copy of each. I'm gonna give him 2 of them for a couple of reasons. I know he has a lot of friends in school, and hopefully one of his friends is interested in these type of things as well. So I think he'd get a kick out of giving them away to his friends. They're pretty neat, pretty rare format to have, to still use in this time and age. These microcassettes. So yeah, I still use these guys, mostly this one. I'll be giving this to my nephew pretty soon, maybe in 2 or 3 days after I'm done with all his mixtapes. He's a fan of the movie, the Marvel movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy. He actually has the awesome mixes, both the Volume 1 and Volume 2. I also have them. I love them. Well, the whole concept of being able to make a mixtape is great. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make microcassette versions of those awesome mixes for my nephew. And you know what? Originally, the mixtape was not a 90-minute tape. But the good thing about using a 90-minute microcassette is that I'm actually going to be able not just store the original Volume 1 on here. I'm going to be able to store the Volume 2 as well on side B, which is pretty neat. Yeah, so he's going to love that. I mean, to have his the awesome mix from the movies he loves on microcassette. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the reason I use these mostly Adventure Time logos on here. He loves that cartoon. I'm not sure if it's still being run on television or not, but I know that he loves it. It's kind of a neat idea to kind of put these Adventure Time designs on here, since I do know that he loves the show, cartoon show. I've seen a couple of them. It really wakes up the child in you. I mean, the fact that he's discovering how things work as he goes along, and the fact that he has so many friends and they're all different. It's wonderful, wonderful show. And yeah, those are my microcassettes. Let me go ahead and show you exactly how I made these. I actually went on Amazon and I found these, the 3.5 millimeter connectors, cable, if you will. I'm a fan of the Anchor brand. They make quality stuff. Maybe they're not the best, but they're pretty good. This is the gold plating. I actually saw the Monster cable, which I also love, but I did not like the fact that it was so long. I know that when you have a cable that is too long, I mean longer than what it should be, you get signal loss, especially on something like this. I mean, you're already going to get so much signal loss as it is. Why would you use a cheap cable? So I bought this on Amazon. Let me show you the box that they come with. The famous Anchor brand. I use so many Anchor. See right here, this is my Anchor USB multiple port charger right there. That's actually how I charge the batteries for these things. I don't really like to use alkaline batteries. I mean, knowing that you have to, they need to be disposed of eventually. It's a big waste. What I found, it's been a while now, about 3 years ago, I started seeing these are the lithium rechargeable batteries, which I'm also a fan of the Analoops, the Panasonic, which were originally Sanyo, now they're Panasonic. The Analoops, and they were great, but unfortunately these older devices, they really require the 1.5 volt voltage on them. If you don't give them the true 1.5 volts, you get weird things going on. Like when you really crank them up, they can't handle having such low power. Believe it or not, a nickel metal hydride battery, it's not really 1.5 volts. It's about 1.23 or 1.25 volts, somewhere in there. What I really like about this newer lithium rechargeable batteries is that you'll get 1.5 volts from beginning to end. You get that solid 1.5 volt, which these older devices really they need. I mean, they were designed for that voltage. So it's wonderful. They come with this USB charger here. You put them in here, and it has a little LED right there. It lights up green. That means it's on. But each battery has a built-in LED inside. It'll turn white, and when it's done charging, it'll turn off. So that lets you know that they're done. They're ready. And they work great, especially on you know what, these older machines, they require a lot of power. They're not very efficient. I mean, these are very old machines, 1981 and 1982. I've read online, and I do believe it. The technology, battery technology, has not really advanced much over the years, over the decades. What has really advanced a lot is the efficiency of your devices. For example, these devices compared to an MP3 player, I mean, compared to your cell phone, these things require a lot of power. And well, luckily I've been using these with great results. I use them a lot on many devices, my older, including my standard cassette devices. I'm a fan of the Sony Walkman to this date. Sony Walkman. I love this guy. This actually has a tape inside. Like I said, I'm a fan of the TDK brand. This guy, I'll probably make another video. It's a pretty neat project. I don't know if it's ever been done before, but like I told you, the world is so big. There's so many billions and billions of people. I'm pretty sure it's already been done, but I'll show you how to do it if you're interested in. This not only has music on it, which I can actually listen to on my Walkman. This has video on it. This has a 10-minute clip of the Guardians of the Galaxy, believe it or not, as well as music. I have an early 1990s video camera. I won't show it to you right now. I do kind of show it in another video. It's a neat concept. I mean, the quality is not there. It's in black and white. And the quality is very low. But the concept is incredible. You can record video onto these audio cassettes, specifically the chrome type. I have used it with the normal bias tapes. It does work, but you get less resolution, and also you get these white colored artifacts moving back and forth. So yeah, you want to use the chrome tapes on that camera. I'll probably make a set. You know what? I probably won't. There's so many videos. It's the Fisher-Price PXL 2000 camera. You probably know about it if you like this rare technology stuff. I won't make a video on that. There's too many on it. I would hate to kind of waste space on YouTube on it, because you'll find at least 30 videos on that camera. Mostly talking bad stuff about it. I mostly like the good stuff about it. The concept is wonderful. The fact that it's the only camera that can do such a thing. So yeah, you know what? It was a kind of difficult. It wasn't easy to get both music, standard music. By standard, I mean normal speed. Something you can play on your Walkman or your tape deck, home tape deck. When you record video with that camera, it spins this tape incredibly fast. I believe it spins it at the same speed as when you're fast forwarding. It needs to do so because it requires so much bandwidth. But the neat thing is that it records both audio and video. So I have a multi-track recorder. I'm not sure what that is. It's a device used mostly for musicians. You'll still find them. Mostly they're digital now. But you'll still find these analog ones that use cassettes. Mostly on eBay. What they do is they record onto all the 4 tracks. A cassette has 4 tracks. I will see 2 stereo tracks running one way, and another 2 stereo tracks running the other way when you turn the tape over. Or if you have an auto reverse device like this one right here, which I love. I actually have 2 models of this. I have this one, which was the one with the television tuner as well as your weather band tuner. Believe it or not, you still find TV stations that this really threw me off. I bought this about a year ago, and I used it and I was thinking, I went through the TV stations which say UHF only, which I believe is channel 1. I might be wrong. I think it's channel 1 to channel 12 or 11, somewhere in there. Believe it or not, I believe it's station 7. It's a Christian radio station that's transmitting Christian music via the television band, which is very strange because I had the understanding that everything had changed to digital now. But believe it or not, at least here where I live, San Jose, California, you can still listen if you have either a television or a device that can read TV stations like this one right here. A Christian radio station that's transmitting to this state Christian music. So yeah, I have this one right here. But I also have the version that did not have the weather station tuner as well as the television station tuner. They're both the same quality pretty much. I use both. I kind of interchange between both. I know there were newer models made, but I kind of stuck with this, and mostly because I used to own this when I was around 15, 16 years old, back in the late 90s. I love them. So yeah, that's how I was able to make these custom microcassette mixtapes. And maybe if you have a hankering to do such a thing, maybe I kind of helped you. Letting you know the materials that I used, where I bought them, mostly Amazon. Very inexpensive, by the way. These custom sticky labels, this is a 100 pack. This is way more labels that I need. But it was only like, it was either $16 or $18, which is not a lot. I mean, considering that you are making something incredibly custom and hopefully pretty awesome, if you're interested in making something like that. Yeah. Let me kind of show you the belts that I bought. Like I said, I know I'm going to get bad rap for this, but I don't care. I bought these on Amazon. They actually give you 2 of these, which I actually needed. Because believe it or not, these 2 players here, they have the same size belt. So what I did is I used 1 belt from these 50 pack that they give you for this guy. And I used the other exact same size one for this guy right here. So these 2 are working now. Yeah, incredible. $9, 100 belts. Yeah, a whole lot of belts. I know that not the best quality, but they work. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit how I fixed. This one was a little bit, you know what? I know that this is an older machine, but believe it or not, I mean, at least to me, it's a higher quality machine. This one was mostly made for businesses, which probably tells you a lot. It has the higher quality parts inside. This one was made mostly for leisure, for music, AM, FM. So the quality that's in here it's lower. I've actually opened this up. This one here is tougher to open because it has so many screws. You need to remove like around 12 screws for this guy to be able to get to the belt at least. You only need to remove about 7 screws on this guy to be able to get to the belts. So yeah, easier to open, harder to open, higher quality, audio quality that is, a little bit lower, but you get the more features. I'm talking about the AM FM radio. I'm talking about this has a wonderful tuner. I've always enjoyed the Sony DX radio tuner because it's really able to pull in those really faint stations. And not only does this have it, this has quite a few, I don't know, capacities or whatever you call it. It has the DX1 and DX2 option as well as the local. It works great. I would love to kind of show you how it works, but again, I don't want to get in trouble with the whole copyright thing with the audio, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm still gonna search for this guy in the future. If I find another one, I'll buy it for myself, but for now I want to give this to my nephew. It's a very cute machine, very Sony, if you're into the Sony stuff. Very nostalgic device right here. So yeah, I really welcome your comments, your questions, if you need more help on making these custom labels or custom inserts. I actually have the PDF files, not PDF, I believe when you save a PDF, I mean, kind of get both PDF and Photoshop mixed up right there. It's probably my age. I'm gonna be pretty old now, 38 in a couple days. Anyways, I still have the file saved. If for any reason that could help you, having that template that I dedicated time to make, I can always either email it to you, Dropbox it, or whatever. Even a torrent. I can make a torrent for you. I really want to help people. You know what? I've been using YouTube since the beginning, but I had never really contributed to YouTube. So I'm kind of dedicating this year to kind of contribute all of my crazy vintage and crazy ideas that I have. It is wonderful to share those ideas. Sharing is caring. So a lot of people say that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.